Canal International.
Call to Morinzi, we begin with our top stories. One week already, the dismissal of 3 lecturers by the rector of the University of Yaoundé, one in the persons of Fridolin K, Damaris, Amanda, Eyenge, and Gaston Ndog, still top news in and out of campus. An issue of allegation around defamation, insults, foul languages, and intimidation. We'll have the details in this edition of Newscast. And the Center Regional Council has urged the policymakers to fast track the process of transferring competencies to local and regional councillors, which you say hinders the decentralization drive. They made a call this Friday while holding the second ordinary session aimed at evaluating midterm project execution. Details in this edition. Those are major stories.
Canal International.
Good evening once more. 1 week already, the dismissal of 3 lecturers by the rector of the University of Yaoundé, one in the persons of Frederic and K, Damaris, Mandop, Eyenge, and Gaston Ndog, still top news in and out of campus. An issue of allegation around defamation, insults, foul languages, and intimidation. Beatrice Ngamo and student journalist Chelsea Kwon has the details.
The tension is perceptible. A viral video on social media shows the dismissed University of Yaoundé 1 lecturers promising to fight tooth and nail for their rights. Their kind of response to the communique signed August 11, 2023 by the rector of the University of Yaoundé 1, Professor
strategy to mislead the population. We are just elements of it.
Nous ne sommes que des éléments peut-être dérangeants.
The rector states that the dismissal follows acts of defamation, insult, foul language, intimidation, and death threats. Fridolin K, just like his colleagues, presents facts to prove the decision invalid. In an interview to the press, the rector of the University of Yaoundé 1 made it clear that a trio were summoned to the University Disciplinary Council on several occasions to no avail.
L'université est un espace public. Mais le président de la République me donne le pouvoir d'interdire l'accès à l'université, même à un général de l'armée.
However, Fridolin K revolts.
Convocation et qui ne respecte pas les 10 jours, je ne sais pas combien de jours qui sont requis. Et qui me demande de me présenter le langue de...
He summoned me to a disciplinary council without a deadline. The law gives a maximum of 10 days to anyone under convocation to act accordingly. I was barely given time. I have the right as a philosopher to revoke it.
Moi, j'ai le devoir en tant que philosophe, en tant que penseur, en tant que syndicaliste, de faire respecter la loi.
The sacked lecturers call on the competent authorities to heed to their request.
Et on va arriver là, on va arriver. On attend le 4 septembre. Le Cameroun va comprendre donc que l'université doit montrer l'exemple.
The university community, like curious public, are eagerly waiting on what the upcoming academic year has installed for Fridolin K and companions, especially with the possibility of other movements and protests as promised by the trio.
The Center Regional Council has urged policy makers to fast-track the process of transferring competencies to local and regional councillors, which they say hinders or delays a decentralization drive. They made a call this Friday while holding the second ordinary session aimed at evaluating midterm project execution. Details with our reporter, Aisen Cha.
The second ordinary session of the Central Regional Council for the 2023 financial year is devoted to the examination and adoption of the amending budget, with the initial 4,021 million witnessing an increase in the course of the year.
We advancing slowly because we have not our budget. And for this session, we have to adopt what we call in French collective budgetaire, which consists to increase the budget of 1 billion French CFA to see what we have to do with this sum.
Being a midterm evaluation session, the regional councillors had to review the level of project execution within the region this far, as they equally underline long-standing obstacles hindering the decentralization process.
Comme l'année précédente,
like last year, the timidity in the transfer of competencies, limited resources, the non-progress of the law on local taxation, all these are hindering the performances of the regional council in project execution, as the unit is unable to acquire more working tools.
Pour compléter notre parc d'engins.
Notwithstanding, the different commissions of the regional council were urged to make productive recommendations that can fast-track the rate of project execution before the year runs out.
And the implementation of sufficient social protection policies, the top priority of the 2024 state budget under preparation government's considerations, has been tabled before stakeholders for proper understanding of the mechanism and challenges at stake. This was during the extended budgetary programming and related programs conference in Yaoundé. Details with Beatrice Ngamo.
International and national challenges have greatly impacted state resources, so too the preparation for the 2024 state budget. Important for stakeholders involved to have a comprehensive understanding of this and mechanisms in place. Sufficient attention for the 2024 budget is on state protection policies.
The first amongst which is the universal health coverage. We will continue to implement and even reinforce the reconstruction of the northwest, southwest, and far north regions of Cameroon will be pursued. Gender challenges will, more than ever before, take.
Another will be the completion of the first generation structural project, the energy sector.
Objective here to make sure that we are able to optimize the use of the electricity that will be generated from Nashtigal particularly.
The initial impetus to drive the national development strategy to reinforce industrialization important.
The 2024 budget must allocate sufficient resources to be able to give that push which the private sector needs to bolster industrial production.
Decentralization, another priority to be considered as resources to local and regional authorities are yet to meet the defined objectives.
We may not be able to avail all the resources that they need, but we should be able to ensure that everybody is feeling the impact.
Issues that were under discussion at extended budgetary programming and related performance conferences in Yaoundé.
Henceforth, the Cameroonian health sector will work hand in glove with the which will make it possible to increase the availability of health products. The launch on August 18 was an opportunity to present all the contours of the said project. Saleh Sharifa tells us more.
Medicines and other consumables necessary for the management of HIV/AIDS are available in the Regional Fund Store for the promotion of regional health visited by the U.S. Ambassador to Cameroon, accompanied by several authorities, all mobilized for the launch of the ISAHC, increasing site-level availability of health commodities projects.
This project, the donation of these 2 trucks, and the ISAC project overall are going to ensure that the people who need these life-saving drugs get them in the shortest possible time. The distribution of drugs, the stocking, the supply chain are all critical to saving lives, and we're very happy that through this program we will be able to save even more throughout the region.
This aims to supply district medical centers, HIV/AIDS care units, and all other health facilities, regardless of the remoteness of the locality. Necessary materials have been made available to the teams to facilitate their movement even in the hinterland. According to the American Embassy, for the moment only the littoral region is beneficiary. The project could extend to other regions.
I think it's important to realize this is just one of many, many aspects of our anti-HIV programming through USAID and through the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR. I have visited many regions of this country during my time here, up in the far north, in the west, in the center, here in Littoral, and there are PEPFAR programs doing a variety of things to help people with HIV/AIDS throughout Cameroon.
From now on, people living with HIV will no longer experience the problems of delayed delivery of drugs and can be ordered online and be delivered by the nursing staff.
And the American ambassador to Cameroon, Christophe Lamora, has equally inaugurated the American Center of Douala supported by the U.S. government. The center is equipped with books, up-to-date technology, and other material connecting people worldwide. The American Center or Corner is harbored in the confines of the Douala Regional Linguistic Center. We'll come back to that in our subsequent editions of Newscast. Ongoing conflicts in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, not leaving out other countries around the world, where children are constantly driven away from the school environment, others kidnapped and even killed. International organizations are disturbed by all of these. They have described all they are currently deliberating and diagnosing problems on how to ensure a safer environment conducive enough for children. More in the following story. In the context of the conflicts in Cameroon's Anglophone regions, dozens of schools have been set on fire. Pupils, secondary and university students, and even teachers threatened, killed, and even kidnapped. All cruel happenings, plus the fear of the unknown, have forced many to shut down schools in the crisis-gripped regions. Those who tried resisting are limited. Thus, quality education becomes a problem. Experts in the domain like Plan Cameroon, UNESCO, UNICEF, and other international organizations are disturbed by these unsafe learning environments.
When it comes to vulnerability, the children who are living in conflict or crisis environments are the most vulnerable to be out of school, to be victims of attacks, to be victims of disruption of education continuity.
In a workshop in Douala, international organizations are advocating safe schools for generations to come. Experts in here deliberating on new strategies, one of which is the development, adoption, and promotion of conflict-sensitive approaches.
Ensure that children within crisis contexts learn in safe school or safe learning environments. These efforts are also implemented at the level of the education cluster, where we work with local stakeholders and some international organizations to ensure that where formal education is not possible, non-formal learning activities.
Advocate so that school comes back to its original role in the society.
In many countries around the world, armed conflicts continue to destroy not just school infrastructure, but the hopes and ambitions of a whole generation of children. As prolongation to the International Day of Indigenous People celebrated last August 9, UNESCO yesterday organized a regional conference on how to preserve and valorize disappearing languages of these persons. The initiative is in response to the many cry of the people fearing their culture and one of its most important identity, a language.
of today's spoken dialect are seriously endangered. Most, the indigenous vernacular. UNESCO within this and in prolongation of the International Day of Indigenous People organized a regional conference in Yaoundé under the theme, the appropriation and operationalization of the Global Action Plan of International Decade of Indigenous Languages in Central Africa. Intends to protect this cultural heritage and is engaged in protecting the language of the forest nomadic people, which is gradually disappearing.
This is the first step where our languages are going to be recognized, although we have had anthropologists and, ethnologists who have been here for centuries, who have worked within the communities, developed the knowledge, carried the information, but nothing have been given back to the communities. This time, it will be the communities for the communities themselves.
Patrick Mekana is a Baka Pygmy working with a community radio in Lomé, East region of Cameroon. He animates programs in the Baka language.
Poems, proverbs, theater, and entertainment. We also call on traditional custodians for legendary tales.
UNESCO is therefore out to support stakeholders and indigenous peoples to set their national and regional plans in all Central African countries.
And one of the major resolutions arrived at the end of the conference on Islamic culture in the nation's pollution and 24 an opportunity to portray the fundamental values of national integration and the development of peace and stability in Cameroon. More in the following story.
Islamic culture in Cameroon, trajectory, challenges and perspectives, the theme of the just-ended conference at the Chinga Islamic Complex in Yaoundé. Objective of the conference, that has run for over 1 year, is to ensure the respect of fundamental values of the Islamic culture, its contribution to national integration, peace and stability.
Ça a davantage mis en commun toutes les parties prenantes de la société qui œuvre pour la stabilité, la paix.
At the end of the Yaoundé, capital of the Islamic culture, the following resolutions were reached.
To create the days to celebrate Islamic culture in our country. In 2024, in September, we are going to launch the first edition of this event in our country. And secondly, we are going to see way and means to organize the Islamic community in our country. So we have to consolidate the organization of our community.
Expressing gratitude to the President for this successful conference that was opened by the Prime Minister, head of government, and under the supervision of the Ministry of Arts and Culture, exploring solutions for better blooming of Islamic culture in the country.
And that report by Beatrice Ngamo brings us to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. Thanks so much for watching. But coming up next is a debrief with Mathieu Fangwa. As I'm be back on Monday for another edition. Good night.